Good morning. I am so glad to be here with you, and I'm so glad to be making cards again. We've been gone, and we got back, and then I got busy trying to get caught up. What are your plans for the summer? Anything special? I know some of you will be making trips. We've made our trip, I think. We don't have anything else planned, but I do have a fun thing planned. Our granddaughter, who lives in Baton Rouge, has a reading list for the summer for school, and Lord of the Rings, my mind just went blank. Lord of the Rings is on that reading list, and she said, Dee Dee, let's read Lord of the Rings together. And I take every opportunity to do something with my grandkids. I've done online with Zoom. I've done online science classes and online reading. So I said, that sounds great. So we're going to meet every week on Zoom, and we're going to have read a chapter of Lord of the Rings. I checked it out from the library, and she's got her own copy, and then we're going to talk about it. So that I'm looking forward to that. It's been a long time since I read Lord of the Rings. So just to get to do it with her is going to be lots of fun. So that's one of the things I have planned. And then making lots of cards and just catching up around here. All right. So let's get with this layered card. Now the card that we're going to do together is going to look a little different from this one because I've had some ideas since I did this one, and I want to try those out. But right now, we're going to start with a layer of Granny Apple Green and a layer of Mossy Meadow, and well, my inside keeps falling out. And that is just a 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around. And then our white, which is the layer that we're going to do our stamping and card making on. And then I have a layer for the inside. And this is the piece that I'm going to stamp my flowers on. Now, Layers of Beauty is a stamp set that is, let me see if I have it right here. Layers of Beauty is a stamp set that is, it is on the Last Chance list. Here it is. So Layers of Beauty. So you can still get this if you don't have it. And it is a really great set. And I'm going to use it today. And that's going to show you just a little bit how to use it and all the different ways that you can use it. It can be intimidating. It really can be intimidating. Don't be intimidated by Layers of Beauty. It is a great set to use. So we're going to be using the stamp, and then we're going to be using the masks that go with it. And I keep my extra pieces. In fact, I have some extra pieces over here too, somewhere, that I need to put in here. But anyway, so Layers of Beauty is still on the Last Chance list. All right. Now, the thing I'm going to do different is the layer that the first layer, the bottom layer that we stamp on, I'm going to do all the stamping first. And then I'm going to emboss it. I had that idea after I'd already made this card, and I love to add embossing. I sometimes just don't think about it until I'm already past that piece. So we're going to do that today. So let's get right with this. These layers that are on here, I pulled different stems from retired sets. Just wherever I could find a stem, I pulled it. Let's see. We will be using Citrus Blooms just for the stem, the die. We will be using Timeless Arrangements just for the dies. And I think that's it for the dies. So I also had some of them left over. So we have some left over from this card. So we will be using those. Here's the one from Timeless Arrangements and Citrus Blooms is, I think it's this one here and this one from Citrus Bloom. So I had a few left over, but we're going to die cut some so that we have plenty. All right, but the first thing we're going to do is stamp our background piece. And I have my pad of oh, I don't know what these are called, but I have the pad here and the desktop pieces because I tried it on my glass mat and it just slid around, because you need to really get your layer that you cut, that you do your layers of beauty on this layer, you need to really get it stabilized. So we're going to try this and see if it works. But right now, let's see. It's not this, it's this. This is the layer, the first layer that we're going to use, because this is the layer we're going to stamp on. I pulled out Wild Wheat because Wild Wheat is one of those colors that when I first saw it, I thought, ugh, I will never use that. But I found that it resembles gold, and I like to use gold. So Wild Wheat and Basic Beige are the two background colors that we're going to use. So we're going to go ahead and stamp those. And this stamp is from You Are Remarkable. And we're going to use it. So I'm going to do it with, and I stamp off for the Wild Wheat. I don't for the Basic Beige, but I'm going to stamp off for the Wild Wheat. So I'm going to put this paper here so that I can stamp off. All right, here we go. And ink that up. This is just one of the leaves from You Are Remarkable. And I'm going to stamp off. It's pretty dark if you don't stamp off. And then I'm going to put it up here. And I'm going to stamp it again right here. And it's just barely going to show. See, it just barely shows. But it does show. I'm going to do it again. Stamp off. Do it here. And I'm going to do it again right over that. It'll just barely show. Just barely, but just enough color. I'm going to move this off so that. All right, I'm going to do it one more time. Get this up over here. My ink where I can. All right, stamp off, and I think I need one more time right down here. Yeah, I'm going to stamp off just right here in the middle. It's not going to show up. So, one more time. Oops. I guess I didn't get it good enough. snap off. Do it right down here and right there. All right. So we're through with that one, and I covered my chamois up. All right, we're gonna get this guy cleaned up. Okay, we got him cleaned up. Put him over here. I'll leave this open. All right, now I'm gonna use one of my favorites, Elements of Text. I love Elements of Text. I love this sort of background. Oh, I've already got it on a block. Yeah, there it is. And with that, we'll put this away for right now. We're going to use Basic Beige. And Basic Beige is a really light color. So, and I'm going to put some, I want to make sure I have my writing up and down. And I'm going to put some right up here. See, it's really light, but I love it as a background. I'm going to put some over here and get my over here. And then a little bit right down here. Hi. All right. I'll clean that one. Put it back over here. And now I'm going to do the sentiment. And I'm going to put it right down here. I really meant, I didn't think about it. I meant to leave a space there, but I didn't. So we'll just go over that. The sentiment is you are the best. You could always put your sentiment on a layer if you want to. I could put it right up here. It has more open space. Maybe I'll do that. I'll put it right up here. Well, okay. There, that shows up. That shows up really well. Okay, is there anything else for the background? I don't think so. I think that's it for the stamped part. So now I want to just see how this is going to look. And I'm going to use the Fern 3D. Now, I could use the Fern and Flowers. I'm looking for that one. Because it's hot. Let me see. There it is. Fern and Flora 3D. But I wanted not so much space, and I wanted more of the fern. So this is a great embossing folder, and I've used it quite a bit. But I want to use the Fern 3D, and I'm so glad that I got that. All right, so we're going to use the Fern 3D for I want it to be straight. It's straight. All right, let me put it through just real quickly. You want to be sure you get your sentiment on. If you're going to stamp the sentiment, on it, you want to make sure you put your cinnamon on before you take it through, before you emboss it. All right, there it is. I think this is going to look great. Now, you can't really see the elements of text. So if I'd done that in a darker color, it might show up better. But I love the look. I love the look. All right. So we've got that part of our background done. Now we're going to start our dimensional layering. So for that, we are going to get our scrap piece of paper. Let me put my lid. If I don't put my lids on my stamp, on my pads, I put my arm in them. Do you have that problem? Okay. So this Layers of Beauty has a huge stamp, and you do need a huge block, one of the larger blocks. So, you know, that's, you've got to have that to use the Layers of Beauty. But I had one, so I'm going to ink it up with black. Here, I put my black away, and I need it. I'm going to ink it up really well. With the black to give me a good, solid outline. All right. Now I think I can put that away. And because this is such a big stamp, I'm going to put my paper, here I'm getting, let me get my fingers cleaned off. All right, so I'm going to put my paper right down on top of this. I'm going to make sure that I don't move it. And then I'm going to press all around. I have a little edge of the stamp right here, but it doesn't matter because the flower is what we're going for. All right, now we're ready to take it up. And there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it is so pretty. All right, so now we're going to use our masks. Oops. This is the tricky part, but it's not hard. I'm going to turn my flower this way because my masks are that way. All right. If you'll notice, they've got a little notch right here at the top. And you can't see it, but there's a number 1. Each mask is numbered, and you do them in order, and that makes it really easy. So, first of all, I have to pick the colors, and there are 3 flower masks, and they get darker the more you go inside of the flower. If you look at this, you see the underneath part is light, and then the next one is darker, and then the last one is the darkest. So you have to decide what colors you want to use on your flowers, and I'm going to use Bubble Bath, Fresh Freesia, and Petunia Pop. So these are the 3 colors I'm going to use. And I don't think those are the colors I used on that one. I'm not sure. So we're going to match it up, and that's not hard because you've got your 3 flowers down here, and you've got your 1 flower up here. And then you've got your big flowers. And as you can see, I have pretty much matched them up. All right, and what I forgot to do is secure my bottom piece. So let me secure it. I've got some edges sticking out. So I'm going to secure my bottom piece. And then I'm going to secure my mask. This is that Post-it labeling and cover-up tape. I've used, look how much I still have left. I've used this for several years. So, it works really well. Let me make sure that I moved it just a little bit. All right. I'm going to secure it down here. And up here. All right, we've got to have brushes. So I have my pink. We're not using the gray and we're not using the green yet. We're just using the pink. And what I'll do is I will rub it off just to make sure there's nothing held over. And then I'm going to get the lightest color. I'll start with the lightest color because it's the background. So this is Pretty in Pink. I'm going to hold it down even though it's taped. And I'm just going to go over it. And this is just, it's just so pretty. Let's see, you got to get it up against something to hold it. So I put it up against my computer. And you know what? It doesn't matter if it's out of the line a little bit. This is artistic layering, and it just doesn't matter. So we're going to go over all of the little places. It's got some little bitty places, and you want to make sure you get those. And it's all in how dark you want this to be. You can keep going over it. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. Flowers aren't. God doesn't make things perfectly even. He doesn't. So I think we're good. I'm going to bring my sheet back in. And there's really nothing left on that one. I'm going to put my Pretty in Pink. Or this is not Pretty in Pink. This is Bubble Bath. I'll put my Bubble Bath on the bottom. Next is Fresh Freesia. And we go to Mask 2. So I take this one up. And these will wash so easily under the hydrant. You just put them under the hydrant and they wash. But for right now, I'll set it aside. Here is 2. And what I could have done and should have done is mark this little, that's why it's there. So let me get this lined up. And I use the little bitty flowers to line it up. That makes it so much easier. But I should have marked my, let me put this over just a little bit. I think we're good. So I'm going to secure this and I'm going to grab a pen, which I should have done at the very beginning. And I'm going to mark my little, that's going to make it so much easier. Might make a mark there and maybe a mark here. Makes it lots easier. All right. So we're ready now with Fresh Freesia. Here we go. And this is Mask 2. And it's going to begin to fill in the depth of the flowers, the roses. It is going to be so pretty. Y'all are going to love this. And this is the ink that's just a little bit darker. You can't really tell by looking at the mask, but oh my goodness. Coming up a little bit. Get it down good. That's why I hold it anyway, to make sure. Okay. All right, where's my... I just don't want all this ink under my hands. But I tend to get stuff on my hands, and then I get it on my project. Oh my goodness. All right, let's take our mask off. Look how it's filling in. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I just love it. All right, we put mask 2 away, and we know that it needs to be washed. Here is mask 3, and because I was smart this time and put my marks, it will fit right on. Put my mark up here, because the more you go in, the more you can't tell. So now I'm going to get this down and get this down, rub it good, and put fresh freesia away. And put Petunia Pop. This is our darkest. All right, here we go. Ooh, nice. Nice. All the little holes. And you can make this as dark as you want it to be. It's pretty dark. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, we're through with the pink. Let's get this up. Look at there. Isn't that pretty? Oh, so pretty. Put that mask away to be washed. And now we're going to work on the greens. And we've only got 2 colors for the greens. So let me put this one down. These are the leaves. And you know, if you don't want your leaves colored, then, or if you want to do it yourself, you can. But let me look and make sure. And you can tell, especially with this first layer of leaves, you can tell. Okay. It should line up, but I always make sure. All right, now we've got our green. Oh, I didn't put my Petunia Pop away, because we're going to use Granny Apple Green, because that's what our base is down here. So I wanted some Granny Apple Green in my flower. I'm going to put it right here. Okay, Granny Apple Green. This will be the base of the leaves. So much faster than coloring all these leaves. And you know, if you want some of them to be darker, then go darker. Because if you go outside and look, leaves are not all the same color. They're not. So we've got 2 greens, so I want to be sure and get Granny Apple Green off of, and we don't. We've just got 1 green, because I decided to use gray. And you'll see why. Now see, I colored some of them darker. I wanted that effect. All right, here's the last mask. Put it on and try to get it as close as I can, because it's going to be hard to tell. You can see a few of the leaves, but okay. I think we got it. Put it there and there. Get my gray, because the next color we're going to use is going to be Smoky Slate. And you'll see why I did that. On the first card, I used a different color of green. And then I did some other things, and I used Smoky Slate in leaves. And I loved it. I loved it. So, here we go. Yep. Get this done, and our flower is done. These leaves are going to have accents on them, just like the flowers. Got to make sure I get it all, though, because there's a lot of leaves. Of course, we're not going to use them all, but I keep them for a different project. In fact, I used some that I had left over on a card just yesterday. So don't throw your pieces away. All right. All right. I think we're done. I'm going to reveal this flower here in a minute. Here we go. The big reveal. There it is. Isn't that beautiful? Now, can you tell that that's gray? No, you can't. I'm putting my tape on my cut and emboss. All right, let me put that mask over there. Isn't that beautiful? That is beautiful. The two-tone is just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. All right. So now we've got this ready to use. And in the set, Layers of Beauty, there is a, I was going to show you. There's a die that cuts out this whole flower. There's a die that cuts out the whole thing. It cuts out the whole thing. You can take that and put it on your card. But there's also a die that cuts out this one flower right here. Let's see, turn it over. It cuts this one out and these leaves. It cuts this out right here. And that's what we're going to do, because we want that flower. And then I'll fussy cut this flower out. I could fussy cut that one. But you're left with like this stem that you could cut with just a circle die or a rectangle die and use it. But we're going to do this. And I'm going to run over here. I don't think this will go through my mini. So I'm going to back up and use my big one for just a minute. Okay. I'm going to make sure I get it cut evenly. Run it through. So we got one of the flowers. We've got one of the flowers cut out. Put my tape back over here. All right, so we have that one cut. Let me put my die away. You know, the funny thing I've learned, I got a new band. Second, I'm losing all my stack over here. I got a new band for my watch, and it has a magnetic closure. So if I'm not careful, when I'm working with my dies, I've lost a die, and I have to be careful because my watch, my band, the magnetic end of my band picks them up. I have to really be careful about that because it would be easy to pick it up and then knock it off in a different place. So now we're going to fussy cut this one flower. We're not going to fussy cut any leaves, and I'll show you how I'm going to make it. This has a little white edge around it, so I'm going to leave a white edge around this one. Well, I'm going to try to leave a white edge. I usually cut up to the edge of the image, so to leave a white edge is not what I normally do. I do love to fussy cut, and it doesn't bother me to do it. And this, you'll see, I mean, it's going to have a little bit of green. It's not going to be a totally white edge, but that's not going to matter. And we're almost done. We don't need dies for everything because we can fussy cut. Here we go. Get right up to the edge of that. And then I'm going to come along here and smooth this out so it looks like part of the flower, because we're going to take this and tuck it right up against that. Now, this can be fussy cut. These can be cut with a die and used on a card, as well as this one. So don't throw your pieces away. All right, now we're going to cut out our stems. So I used dies from Timeless Arrangements and Citrus Blooms, and I think I've got those out. And I think we had some from Timeless Arrangements, so I'm not sure that we need those, but we are going to cut this one, and we're going to cut that out of I've got the pieces. Where are they? Here they are. I knew I had the paper to cut. I'm going to cut that out of the wild wheat. And I'm going to cut a little one out of wild wheat. And maybe one of these just to play with. And I'm going to use my mini. So I'm going to need to trim this off. Trim it down just a little bit. So put a wild weed on there. We want one of these, and one of these. Okay. All right. Got the wild wheat. And both of these. Have to poke it out. Yeah. Got that one. Got that one. And I think that's all we need from wild wheat. Put those over there. But we're going, and we don't need, well, yeah, I think we do need one of these in the Granny Apple Green. So what did I do with it? And we'll do a couple of others in the Granny Apple Green. It should fit. We'll do that one. Do that one. Just to make sure we have enough. I don't think we need all of that, but anything you use that you make too much of, what I do is I have a little box over here, and I put everything I don't use in that. And you'll see in a minute, I'm going to show you some that I pulled out for this card. Extra stuff. And I think that's all the Granny Apple Green we need. And I'm going to get my take a pick tool. Make it easier to get these out. Got another one of those. And these. And you know, it's a random process, this layering. And each card will look different because you'll layer differently. All right. I think that's good. I think that's good. I'm going to put these back over here so I can put them away in a bit. All right, that's all we need this for. And now we begin the process. We're just going to use our background piece. I love the embossing. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to kind of lay it out. On it underneath. So these are my extra pieces, the pieces I just cut and my extra pieces. But I also pulled my box out and pulled some of these things out that I had in there. And I know I want to use some of these. Now this one is from the I don't know what set that is. That may be, no, I don't know what it is. But I'm going to cut it off and use it on this card. And maybe even this, although I pulled this out and I thought that might look really good. Just peeking out from behind that. What do you think? You can tell me in the comments what you think. What about the pink? That, or, because I've got more white. These are just scrap pieces. But I wanted to. I've got orange, I've got blue. So you could go however you wanted to go. And then I've got some different colors than what I picked. Like I've got this green, which is probably seafoam green. All right, let's, what do you think? Do you like I've even got some of the green. I could put that in to kind of draw that in. Oh, and I've got a piece of gold here. I don't know if you can see all these pieces, but I definitely think I want to use the gold. You know, I love gold. So what? Should I put the pink or the blue? What do you think? The pink or the blue? Well, I think I kind of like the pink. Just peeking out back there. And I kind of like these extra greens because I am going to put this back behind the whole thing. So it sort of mimics the wild wheat that we have stamped. Well, as we glue things down, I want a little bit of Granny Apple Green because that's what our base is. We're just layering these up. We could do another, let me get that out, another wild wheat in here. Or the wild wheat can go down here. Got our white pinking out down here. We know it's not going to be there. We lost that one. Maybe we shouldn't use that one. This one is just going to peek out from behind there. Not much of it is going to show. And the white, not much of it is going to show. Just peeking out. Granny Apple Green and maybe just a little bit of that seafoam, soft seafoam. And this is going to go down here, peeking out, and we need some of our darker green. Maybe down here. Trying to decide what it needs. You know, we've got that. This could come down here, just peeking up from the bottom. We'll cut most of that off. Maybe even a I dropped that one, so I'll grab this one. I've got those two, maybe instead of that, peeking up from the bottom. What do you think? We've got a lot of different colors layered in. I need something over that. I could put a white over that. Well, you know, it's just a building process. I don't want much of that pink showing. We could, have that up there. We've also got this that we could tuck in there, kind of subdue that green. What do you think? Do we have enough layers? I think we do. Oh, yeah, we've got our second flower. Just not much of it showing. There we go. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this off this direction. I'm going to pull this off this direction. Pull these off this direction. So we know those are pull that off that way and this off this way. Now what I'm going to do is use dimensionals, but I'm just going to put the dimensionals right in the center. And I'm not going to use many because I want I want to have space to put things in. So I'm going to pull these things back, put my flower down, put that one there. And I think I'm just going to use one dimensional for this one, right in the middle, and tuck it right there. Now, I want this pink flower tucked way down under. And in fact, I'm going to cut the bottom of it off. I'm going to cut this leaf off. Oh, but I want to keep that bloom. I'm going to cut this top bloom off because I really don't want it. You have to make those decisions about that. All right. I'm going to use my glue, my little pointy thing, but I'm not going to put much glue on it because I'll be tucking other things around it. Yeah, I just want it peeking out. So I'm just going to put glue on the stem. And I'm going to tuck it way down under there. Right there. All right. Now I'm going to use this white flower, and I'm going to do the same thing to that. I just want it peeking out. So I'm just going to use the glue around the edge. And tuck it under there as far as it will go. It's about as far as it'll go. And I had this tucked right there, and I think I'll keep that there. But it's going to. I'm going to cut that off so that it will tuck right under. Yeah. I mean, I just want it barely peeking out. There. Just barely peeking out. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is this, because it goes under here. Let's see. I really kind of want it to go under here, but I'm going to have to cut the bottom part off. There. So I just want it barely tucked under as well. So I'm just putting the smallest amount of glue. We don't care about the tops of these. Okay. I think I want to go on and do these two down here. As I'm building. But I want the wild wheat on the bottom. And I'm just putting a little bit. Actually, I need to come up with my glue because I'm going to cut the bottom off. And then this, I want over it. And see, when you do that, it kind of negates the strength of the pieces going over. And then I'm going to do this, and we're going to cut these off at the bottom. All right. We still have these pieces. And we have this that could go right there and come off a little bit. I think we will. So we will just put the glue along the bottom. As it goes under, it's going to be messing up some of that glue, but we're okay with that. All right, and I want this gold piece. See, we're going to cut some of that off. And I want the gold piece to be right over that. Okay, we're just kind of building this as we go. There we go. I just want it peeking out as well. I had white. Kind of here to pick up the white down here. You know, if I had fingernails, this would be so much easier. I'm gonna cut the two bottom leaves off. And bring that right there. We're going to go right there with that, but I'm wondering if the brown works better. I like that. It's just got the gold peeking out behind it. I'm going to cut the bottom of the stem off. We want it to go under the pink. There. Under the flower. Okay. With the gold peeking out. All right. I think we need something else down here. Out of what we had, we only have white and green left. Yeah, I think that needs to go right there. All right. I want that to go pretty far. There we go. Let's cut these off so we get an idea of what we're looking at. And over here, here. All right, here's what we're looking at. Do we need something else right down here? Do we need a little white? Or another green? What do you think? I don't know. I think I'm going to go with a little white. Just a little bit. And
Hello.
oh. Okay. We've gone way over this time.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're going to put the white right. Wow, I can't believe it's as late as it is. I wouldn't have realized it if my husband had not walked in. All right, we're going to do that. Give a little white over that, and we're going to call this done. So let me cut the white off. All right, thank you for sticking with me if you have. All right, that's it. We are going to call that done. We've got our layered card. We are going to put it on the background. Now I'm hurrying, so I better use this. All right, and put this on our card, on our card front. You are the best. There we go. And for the inside, I was just going to stamp a couple of leaves. With the basic beige. And call it done. All right, here we go. All right, here we are. There's our layered card using Layers of Beauty, and I was going to put a little bit of linen thread, use a bow, gonna cut it. It's a double bow, takes a little bit more effort because you got to get hold of both of those pieces. But there it is. Pull one of the threads so that you can put it right there with a glue dot. What did I do? Stuck to my sticky finger and fell to the floor. All right. And while I was down there, I found a die. Huh. Don't do it again. Here we go. All right. That'll do it. A layered card. You're the best. And anything you want to put inside. Thank you for being here with me. I've got dies going everywhere. I think it's my watch. Thank you for being here with me. And get this other one. You see, they're different. Very different. Very different. But beautiful layered cards. God bless you. And I'll see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.